Happy Mola Monday everybody, and welcome to this week's Hall of Trials video. This week we get to take on the incomplete and incredibly noisy Fastus. I'm not even kidding, turn your headphones down, this guy's loud. Unlike last time where we got to use mages, this time rangers are the bonus class. Similar mechanic to last time, you want to have 2 to 4 buffs on your units during the break phase in order to get those extra attacks in. And also, like last time, Earth is giving a bonus of 40% damage, so we want to stick with Earth Rangers, which is convenient because the good DPS Rangers are all Earth Rangers. I went ahead and used this team. I will explain my picks here. First, I went with Mediator Kowarik. The reason for Mediator Kowarik is he provides 3 unique buffs that can help me in that phase, and he also has a cleanse. His S3 skill gives increased attack, which none of my rangers give, and immunity, which none of my rangers give, and his S2 skill gives a barrier. That's 3 of the 4 buffs I need in one unit, and he can cleanse away the buff block that Fastus likes to spam. I put him on Warhorn and made him the fastest unit on my team, though not really fast. He's hanging out at 162. I basically took my normal PvP Kowarik and just broke his speed set. Nothing super fancy or customized in this build. For the Rangers, I started with Faithless Litica, and Faithless Litica has a very unique thing she brings to this fight. Her S3 skill gives a party-wide skill null. Now the nice thing about skill null is it counts as a buff and it never runs out. You have to be hit for it to go away, and nobody hits you during the break phase. And also when you exit the break phase and Fastus does his big ultimate attack, it hits skill null, so you take no damage. So it really is a fantastic option for her. I stuck her on Rage set because she does actually do pretty significant damage. Gave her Song of Stars so I could get the target debuff for extra damage. Landy is my big damage unit. I stacked her on my strongest rage set, and I gave her the Hall of Trials artifact for the extra damage points. She is my third fastest unit, right behind Faithless Litica, close enough that sometimes she got speed RNG'd, but with her self-pushing, she cycles around quite nicely and takes more turns than the other rangers, and that's important for laying down damage. Now the linchpin of my team, and I'm so grateful I get to use her, my favorite unit, Bologna. Bologna has a unique S2 skill that procs automatically after she fills up her focus bar, and with all these extra S1 attacks you do, her focus bar gets filled pretty fast. I put her on the S2 EE, or sorry, the second S3 EE to give her a 100% chance to defense break. It doesn't help us during the break phase, but it does help us with the transition. I put her on the Bloodstone artifact. The Bloodstone artifact makes her our healer. You won't believe how well this girl heals during the break phase with all of her extra attacks that she spams. I went ahead and gave her a rage set because I wanted that extra damage. Bologna does pretty significant damage. Even though Fastus doesn't have any hit points during the break phase, she still lays down pretty good damage. So when the fight starts, Fastus does his ultimate and puts buff block on the entire team. It's tempting to use the S3 right now, but I decided not to because it would push the phase too quickly. You need to find your own tuning here. I found that if I S1 to the adds with Bologna and Litica, and I S1 Fastus with Kowarik and Landy, it set the timing up pretty good for me to enter the break phase where I wanted to enter it. Mostly I'm stalling for time. And when I say set up for the break phase, I mean you were able to get rid of all of the buff blocks organically without accidentally pushing phase. I had Flitica hitting the adds because the debuff on Fastus would push phase too quickly. Now that I've gotten rid of all of the debuffs, I can use my S2 skill to put a barrier on everybody. That's my first buff. Landy can S3, and even without the attack break, this would push phase. Now I've got 2 debuffs on everybody. Inside the phase, I'll use my S3 skill on Flitica. Hopefully this puts target on the enemy. If you don't get target, just restart. And there's the skill null, that's my third buff. And I'll have Mediator Coeric, who laps Bologna, uses S3. That gets 4+ debuffs on everybody, including an attack buff. So now I'm ready to go. Now look at this healing Bologna does. 15k heal, 3500 heal because that was all she needed to be at max. She does 3 hits plus this 4th hit. That'll heal your entire party to full. So every time you exit the break phase, you're going to exit the break phase into skill null and with a fully healed party, so you don't even need a healer for this. At this point, just doing S1s, it'd sure be nice if that dual attack had been with one of the Rangers instead of with Coeric, but I'll take the points where I can get it. You'll notice because I've got 4 debuffs, I get 3 attacks. 1, 2, 3 for almost 1.1 million damage just out of Landy. And another almost 8 or 600k out of Bologna. So that pushes the phase. 4.6 million is pretty respectable. I did this fight several times, kind of feeling out my team, and I think 4.8 is the most I exited with. As long as you're at least 3.2 or higher, you should be good to go. So now, once again, we're trying to manually get rid of these debuffs. Fastus does a lot more damage at this point. I want to avoid using Coeric's S3 until after that skill right there that puts heal block on everybody. Okay, so I've got Fastus pretty close to where we're ready to push phase. And now I'm ready to go ahead and cleanse all these debuffs off. This is the hardest part, is trying to line up your entry into the break phase with all of the buffs on, without killing too fast, and without Fastus killing one of your units. I did pretty good on this one. I was able to get the target buff with a blind, so this target buff stayed behind, and with this S2 skill, that gave me barrier, and that gave me my 4 buffs. Now I don't have the skill null up yet, but I'm still going to go ahead and use the S1 skills, because I do have 4 buffs, and that's all I need to get maximum damage. And as you can see, Bologna banging out the 4 and 5 digit heals from her Bloodstone. Everybody's back to full health again. Now, I could S3 here, but I want to get the extra damage points in, and I'm pretty sure that Flitica is going to lap around, so I'm just using the S1 so I can get the triple hit. If I used her S3, it would only be a single hit, and I'm pretty sure I've got enough room on that bar. Now, Landy unfortunately lost some of her buffs, so she only gets 2 hits off. I still will get 3 hits out of Bologna, and that will push her into her extra attack, so I get the full 4 hits off of Bologna. Nice, I got a nice dual attack, and I was right, Litica lapped, so now I can put skill null up. And this will keep Fastus from doing any significant damage to me when we enter the last phase. I'm going to save the S3 for later and just do an S1. Didn't get a dual attack, but hey, we're at 9.3 million. When I last checked the score, it was just a little above 9 million was first place, so we should be in pretty good shape. Mediator Coeric is ready right out of the gate with his S3. This gets immunity on everybody, so when Fastus does his S2, I should not be impacted by the anti-heal. I'm using Bologna's S3 to give her focus stacks, and also in hopes to get a defense break. Faithless Litica gets a big CR push, using her S2 into multiple units, so she'll lap around pretty quickly. I'm going to go ahead and put up my barrier because things hit hard on this phase, and with Landy's S3 will give me a speed and attack buff and should take out all of the adds. Try to get a target debuff. We got it. And with this S1 skill, it'll complete her focus stack, and she'll use her S2, which hopefully will give us a defense break, which it did. We're in real good shape to clear this phase. I'm not so worried about the heal block anymore because we're doing so much damage. Fastus is going to be dead in just a round or two here.
You leave me no choice.
I never fight a losing battle.
And this hit should seal it. So 10.6 million points. That should easily secure me the #1 spot. #2 spot. Okay. Damn it, Robusto. Okay, well, I guess we'll see in the comments what Team Robusto did to get 10% more damage than my team, but I hope you enjoyed this Hall of Trials video, and I hope it helps you get your dagger sicar points. This one's a pretty easy one, all things considered. There's a bit of RNG to it, but with Faithless Lydica's skill null and Bellona's healing, it's pretty easy to complete. Now, maybe you're feeling a little bit lazy, and you don't want to manual this whole fight. So here's the exact same team, no changes at all, just running on full auto. It scores about half what the manual team scored, a little over 5.8 million. Still deep within the SSS+ range. So, especially with the free unequip event coming up this weekend, this will give you an option for how to run this fight without a lot of effort. If you have any questions, just ask them in the comments section. I'll do my best to answer them for you. And if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you would give it a like and maybe even consider a subscribe. Have a great one.
What happens when you don't know your place?
I despise everything boring.
Full frontal assault. That's an order. Careful.
Your time is up.
I present to you the greatest magic.
Total.
It is my job to restore balance. You cannot change what is already decided.
Will you help me?
Your enthusiasm is admirable. Here's your reward.
How about this?
Taking foot.
With my authority as mediator, I will right what is wrong.
Can you hold out for more?
Allow me to purify you.
Requesting backup.
I present to you the greatest magic.
Let me show you my secret weapon. Respect the Great Land.
Death. Destruction. Extinction. Agony and despair.
Entertain me, please.
altered world. I will write new rules. Let me guide you onto the right path.
May despair fall. End of all life.
It is my job to restore balance.